that town of Louisville, they got a man they call Big Bad Bill. I want to tell you, he sure was tough, and he certainly did strut his stuff. He had folks all scared to death.
Good evening, my name is Robert Milner, and we're here at the Capitol Theatre here in Nelson, BC, and I'm talking with Pat Sainsbury, the president of the Capitol Theatre Society. Good evening, Pat.
Good evening, Robert.
Well, we're finally here. We're starting the work. Can you tell us something about what we're going to be seeing happening here?
Well, if you stay here for the next 3 or 4 hours, you're going to see probably a lot of dust rising. We have a crew here of 7 men who are going to be starting what is called the raising process. Initially, we have to remove all of the old lath and plaster that is on the ceilings and on the walls. It's, as you can see, in very sad disrepair from the water damage that is coming down through the roof, which is leaking pretty well all the way along on both sides. It's been probably the result of a 20-year period of neglect. So water is our worst enemy at this point in time.
Is there going to be a lot of restoration of all the old artworks here on the theater walls, such as the frescoes, the paintings, the woodwork, the balcony for where I guess the organ used to sit up in this balcony here? Is that
definitely? The project is a major portion of the project is concerned with the heritage value of this place. The Capitol was originally built in 1927 at a phenomenal cost of $75,000. At that time, the economy was more or less like it is today, and it was a huge sum to be spending on a theater. It would be probably like us spending over 10 times that amount today on a similar structure. So we have a lot of, as you can see, there are organ lofts on both sides of the proscenium. There are wall murals painted directly on the wall. All of these items, as well as the decorative plasterwork on the beams, there are cornices running along underneath all of the beams. As much of this artwork is going to be preserved as is possible. And hopefully we'll be working with some artists to try to touch up those wall murals and get some of the plasterwork recast to try to bring the place back to its original state. It was from talking to the older citizens in town, it was just a beautiful place to come into. It really didn't seem to matter what they were watching on the stage. It was as much as to be seen as to see something.
At the Capitol Theatre.
At the Capitol Theatre.
Now, what we're going to be seeing later on, or during this film here, we're going to be seeing most of the artwork that is on the wall now. Is that the original artwork, or are we looking at renovations that happened during the 50 or 30-year lifespan of the theater?
Well, yes, it operated up until the dates. The closing date, the official closing date of the theater is rather fuzzy, depending on who you talk to. It seems to be that it was somewhere in the mid-60s that the old Capitol finally gave up trying to entertain people, and in a theatrical sense. But it's we're going to be trying to. I've lost the point of your question. I hope.
Well, what I asked was, is the artwork on the walls now the original?
It does extend from
any renovations.
No, as far as I know from my investigations now over a 2-year period, the artwork is the original from the year of 1927. All of the plasterwork. I have the names of all of the people who were participating in the finishing work in the place. Some of them are still alive, although not too active. Others have passed on.
Mm-hmm. I've already seen that you've done some work here with the electrical system in this theater. I imagine that over 30 years ago, we didn't have much of an electrical code for this building.
This wiring was actually, I think, done by, it could have been done when this place was being used, sadly enough, as an auction hall. It also could have been done somewhere back in the late 70s when another group that was attempting to restore the place brought some temporary service in here. And it's, I don't know if it is legal, but it just lit up 2 lights that are now out over this in this chandelier fixture.
Well, now could you point out to us, and we'll later on follow with the camera, exactly what problems are arising here. Now, up in this far corner over here, I noticed that the wall, the ceiling is leaking rather bad. The plaster's all off. I imagine the floor, the roof is caving in. Is that the number one concern now? Is shoring it up so that it's safe inside?
Exactly. We came in. I brought a group of people in several months ago now to assess the initial situation in here, and like I said, I've been playing around in this place for about 2 years now, and it became quite apparent that the water damage that you see running along the roof is spreading, and to the point where we noticed that the plaster over one of the beams, that second one up from the Victoria Street wall, had cracked, thus indicating that the beam inside, the wood, had finally given up and had, through water damage, had rotted and had parted. So we put up a fairly stout post underneath it to keep it from coming down any further. You can see that it is not quite in line with the rest of the beams in the place. So
how is the floor? Is the floor still good? That's
virtually
a major part
the
there.
Structural framework of the building is still sound. I've had these opinions given to me by a number of architects, both within the community and from Heritage Trust in Victoria, and the building is indeed very soundly put together, 12 by 12 posts holding up the floor. It's a very solid structure. So the flooring itself in the middle of the auditorium is all fairly sound. But you can see that there's probably some of this wood here is quite suspect, where the water has been soaking it on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Now, up in the back of the theater here, we have our balcony and projection booth. Was that always used as a projection booth? Was this a movie theater way back when 1927?
This, from my investigation, I think that the Capitol was used as much as a movie house as it was for live performing arts. The stage itself was a good indication of that. It wasn't really designed for large theatrical companies to perform on. It's not all that big. But the projection room was an original part of the design, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 550 people used to squeeze in here on a night when they saw something happening. This theater actually held the first talking picture in Nelson, Desert Song with Raymond Navarro played in here for a good while. But the original, what is left in here, is more or less from the original structure.
Mm-hmm. Now, dealing with this stage here that we have in front of us, the Capitol Theatre Society is going to be redoing this stage for theatrical productions. Are there any plans right now as to what we're going to be doing with the stage, or what improvements? Do you have some set plans already?
Some plans set. We're in the discussion phase right now with most of the completed form of the building. Obviously, the stage flooring has to be totally replaced. We're going to be putting on a much more durable surface there that will stand up to the wear and tear of theatrical activity. The Capitol Theatre will be a performing arts center as opposed to a movie house. We're not attempting to compete with the Civic Theatre in any way in the film industry. We will be showing on occasion artistic and non-commercial films. By that, you will not see the return of E.T. here, but you may see films, you will probably see films being presented by the Silver Screen Film Club, films of that nature. And I have a personal interest in films. I may attempt to work on bringing in films that of interest along those lines, certainly subject to discussion with the group, but maybe as corny as a Humphrey Bogart weekend, things of that nature. But basically it will be a performing arts center for live performances in the way of dramatic and musical presentations. It'll be open to seminars, conventions, any kind of, we're hoping that the upper level here that you see, which was a balcony seating area, where one idea that we're playing with right now might be to level that floor off and use it as a combination assembly area, lobby, art gallery, an area to use for expositions of art by local
be very
artists.
Interesting. Yes, an added feature for the Capitol Theatre.
I think that's the way to make this place live and survive, is to make it available to virtually any kind of community project, and also make it, of course, get ourselves on the national touring circuit and try to bring in outside performers in here to stimulate our culture.
Very good, very good. Another question I have is that I understand that there is a possibility of acquiring a building next door, hopefully to enlarge the Capitol Theatre itself as a dressing rooms and stagecraft where they build all the props for the different sets.
Exactly.
Is this still in the works here?
Very definitely.
Any news on that?
Well, I first heard about this project, the Capitol Theatre, the building itself anyway, in late '78. There was another group that was attempting to revive the building. At the time I was teaching theatre and or drama as they call it in high school. They don't think they really aspire to theatre there. But I was teaching English and theatre and getting a stage assembled, I suppose, out in Salmo, and I really didn't think I had the energy to take part in trying to restore this theatre here. So I declined joining the group. Part of the reason for that was that they were only confining themselves to this theatre itself, and in looking over the drawings that they had, it seemed to me that it was going to be very restricted as far as particularly the backstage amenities that a performing arts center requires. Yes. And so I really didn't think they were going to be very successful in their attempt, and unfortunately they weren't. I don't think I was the sole reason for that, but when I started becoming interested in the place again about 2 years ago, it seemed to me that another building directly attached to the theatre running next door, it was being used by the BC Tel as a storage facility and not really completely filled with equipment. And it seemed to me that if an arrangement could be made with the British Columbia Telephone Company, that perhaps it would really solve our backstage problems. And on November 16th, I believe it was, I met with the district manager of the BC Tel, Mr. Harry Durndahl, and he had been watching our progress over the last 6 months in an official way, that we had made ourselves known around the community. And the BC Tel has decided to take part in our program, and they have donated, in the way of a long-term renewable lease for the nominal fee. They have donated the entire top floor of the building to our project, and there is the arrangement made that 2 or 3 years, or somewhere between 3 and 5 years actually down the road, that the bottom floor of the structure would be made available to us. We would be given the first refusal on that. So we have now a structure that will accommodate next door our lobby, the main entrance, the ticket area, office space, dressing rooms for the performers, storage space, backstage space. It's going to provide all of the shortcomings that the building had as a theater.
As a performing arts for a group of people rather than individuals or movies. Now, I understand that there's a lot of enthusiasm in the community here, downtown business core people. They're interested in seeing something happen. Are you getting a lot of response from them? Are they donating things, or are they just pleased that something's happening?
Well, our publicity campaign, or our soliciting, that's not a very nice word to use, but that's what we're going to be doing within the community, is only just seriously getting underway. We have begun a campaign to increase the public awareness in the place, and we have received already commitments from several businesses and individuals within the community who are contributing labor or time and also materials at this point. The materials side of things is at this point not too substantial. The major problem that we have within the structure here is an incredible appetite for capital materials. No pun on the capital word, but we're going to be probably requiring somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 worth of materials to bring this building back to the state that it should be in. Mm-hmm. And probably some in the same area, labor and some professional fees that will be required to complete the project.
Well, I hope the community gets more involved here, and especially the people who can donate their time and energies to helping restore the theater.
I think they will. I think as they become aware of what has been contributed already, for example, the city of Nelson purchased this building for the previous group that was attempting to restore the building. They had been working on a grant that fell through, so the city was actually stuck with the building. It was understandably they were upset at being left with an old dilapidated theater and nobody really interested to restore it. And they paid $57,000 for the place, which may not be a lot for a big building, but for a city with limited resources, that's a lot of money. But they, similar to the BC Tel, actually the City of Nelson has initiated this project. With their help, they have turned the building over to us for again with a long-term lease, renewable for a nominal fee, and that's more or less gotten the ball rolling. The council is very favorably disposed towards us, and they've been very helpful in our winning two very important grants. We've received $57,000 from the Federal Canada Community Development Program, which is providing employment for 4 people over a year. And we've received a second grant from the Community Recovery Program, which is a combination federal-provincial program, which has helped us hire the 7 gentlemen who are over here waiting to tear this place apart. And they will be in here for approximately 20 weeks working away in here. And with a building like this given to us and the BC Tel building given to us and approximately $90,000 in grants so far, I think the community will warm to that idea. And although we realize, of course, that it's not a very pleasant economic situation in Nelson at this time, I think that projects like this thrive in depressed times. That's why the Civic Center was built. It was a depression project, and I think that we are in a very similar situation, and I think if the community warms to this project, I think it can provide the cultural and the economic stimulation that would really help the city considerably.
I've noticed in the past and through seeing different things being done here in Nelson that the community does pull together, and it is a cultural orientated community, so I'm sure this thing will be off and flying pretty soon.
I think we have a very strong cultural community, but we also have a very strong trades community, a lot of very skilled people here in town who are waiting for the opportunity to contribute to this, and their indications have led me to believe that we are going to see a very knowledgeable group of people working within this building to make it a reality.
Good. Now get back to what's happening here, what you're going to be doing. You're going to be, here we have some frescoes on the wall or some paintings and ornamental work. Can you tell us what's going to be done with them and how you plan to save them?
Well, one of the first things the men here are going to do is shelter them. We're going to be building little roofs covered in over the frescoes so that the debris that starts flying down off the ceiling won't be damaging them. And as soon as possible, we'll be they may just require cleaning. Some of them have been sheltered from the weather or from the water damage. Others may need touching up by local artists. We're going to be employing as much local talent as we can in the place. And I think that most of the murals are in a shape that I think a cleaning will probably suffice, but a little touch-up will probably help in some areas.
Are there any other specific areas or special areas here in the theater that you'd like to mention now that are going to be restored?
Well, some of as you can see up along above the proscenium, there's some very decorative and interesting plaster work that served to make the place look like some kind of Grecian temple. I guess that the architecture of any theater is based on facade anyway. Everything is pretty well an illusion, although it has a very definite effect on the emotions. And walking into a place like this and looking at the overall design of the building, it had a very imposing, kind of almost a familiar feel to it when you walked in. You felt comfortable and at home. And I think we can. Most of the detail in the plaster area is restorable. There are several skilled artisans in the community that do plaster work, and I think that's fairly obvious from some of the work that's been done on Main Street. Mm-hmm. And we will be hoping to bring their talents to work in here to restore much of this work. The organ lofts here are already in fairly good shape. There's very little missing from them, but they can be touched up quite easily. But there is some cornice work that will definitely have to be recast, and I think that that'll be a process that will be beginning probably within a year. It all depends on the contributions from the community and from the the grants that we receive from private foundations and from government agencies. But this is definitely one of our major concerns. Our publicity and financial committees have begun to work quite thoroughly on sources of income for us.
Well, thank you very much, Pat. And for the rest of the film, we'll be showing the different parts of the Capitol Theatre building, which will be restored. Right now, they're very dilapidated, as Pat mentioned before. So this is Robert Milner here at the Capitol Theatre. Good evening.
It's a different life, 'cause Big Bad Bill is sweet, will you know? Married life has changed him somehow. Well, he's a man that we all used to fear. But now the people call him Sweet Papa Willie, dear. Stronger than Sam.
You don't have any muscles in your tail.
Oh,
is that right? Who told you that?
There's hell. Big Bad Bill don't fight anymore. Well, he washes dishes
Something
and
for
he
these nice
mops
people?
the floor. Well, he used to spend his evenings looking for a fight. Now he's got to see his mama every night. Big Bad Bill is sweet, William now.
They're terrified of you, aren't they? Yeah. Look at I found Dracula. You think they look like us? What's your name?
Melissa.
Melissa. What school do you go to?
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph's School. Are you having fun tonight?
Yeah.
Getting lots of treats.
Almost a whole bag.
Almost a whole bag full. What are you going to do with it all? You're going to eat it all? Oh, it's a good thing you've got a big clown suit.
Thomas.
Thomas, do you go to St. Joseph's School as well? That's nice. And I see you're collecting, but this is